Hi, I'm Patricia Clark. I shared in my previous video why it is important that we be called by God if we are to minister to people who are survivors of human trafficking and satanic ritual abuse. I thought in this video it would be good to tell my experience on how I was called. In 1972, it was prophesied over me that God had a ministry for me in the end times. There was no hint as to what it would be, just that there was a ministry. And so for many years I would pray, "Oh God, please use me in a ministry that's initiated by you and empowered by you, that brings you glory." I don't know where I got the idea to pray that prayer, but I prayed it for years. And it just seemed like forever. My husband has been a pastor since 1970. And so I've been involved in things pastors' wives do, like lead the women's ministries, help out with the children. I led the worship ministry, but I knew there was another ministry for me. And so I really wanted to get involved in that ministry. And but one day, after my children were grown, and it was just my husband and me, I remember praying, "Oh God, I don't care if I never have a ministry, because I'm just happy knowing you. And if all I do is take care of my husband, minister to him and people in our church, I'm happy." And in just a couple of days, people started knocking on my door for a very specialized kind of ministry. They wanted me to cast demons out of them. I don't know why they came to me, and I didn't know anything about casting out demons. But that happened. And so I tell this story to say that it's important that we go into ministry for the right reasons. And I think there was something deep in my heart that wanted to be someone special, someone important. And if I had a specialized ministry, I would be special and important. And so God dealt with me till I came to the place where I didn't care whether I had a ministry or not. And so then he was free to release me in ministry. And so people just came to me, pour their heart out, and asked me to cast demons out of them. I mean, it wasn't even my idea. They just said, "I think it's a demon, would you cast it out?" And the first lady that said that to me, I said, "Well, I don't know how to cast out demons, but I know this church in town that does it." She says, "No, I'm not going to go there. It has to be you." So this lady was in deep trouble, and I thought, well, I've got to do my best to help her. And so I felt like I was backed up in a corner. So feeling very foolish, I looked at her, and I started talking to some entity that I couldn't see, that I was just thinking was probably there, and telling it to get out in the name of Jesus, and quoting a few scriptures. And lo and behold, she began to show signs that something was happening. And then she started coughing profusely, and a demon came out. And then she had been set free from something that was really a threat to her life. And so that was the first time I cast out a demon. But I learned there for a few years when I was doing deliverance ministry that the demons would come back in. So it didn't last, and I didn't know why. But I began to learn in 1992 when a lady I knew in the community who was involved in another church called me, and she says, "I know that you minister to a lot of different people, and I was wondering, do you know what satanic ritual abuse is?" I said, "No, I've never heard of it." She said, "Well, I think you need to read this book. The name of it is Uncovering the Mystery of MPD by Dr. James Friesen." I said, "Okay." So I bought the book, and I read the book, and I thought, well, that was interesting. And then after that, I was out in the car going somewhere, turned on my radio, just as they were advertising that Dr. James Friesen was going to be giving a conference in Columbus, Ohio, which was just half an hour from where I lived. And I thought, well, that's interesting. He's going to be there. And then a few days later, there was a brochure delivered to my house advertising this conference that was going to be in Columbus with Dr. James Friesen. I said, okay. And then, wasn't long after that, I was flipping through channels on the TV. This was a long time ago, and I still watch TV. And they were advertising on the Christian station for this conference in Columbus with Dr. James Friesen. I said, well, Lord, it's on Friday and Saturday. I can't go because Friday I have a class at the university, and I can't miss that class. It's very important. Well, I was just finishing up my bachelor's degree. Well, I went to school then the next day and found out the whole university was going to be shut down for winter break, the very time Dr. James Friesen would be giving his seminar in his conference in Columbus. So I said, okay, God, I got the message. I'll go. So I went to the conference. It was very interesting. I enjoyed it and learned a lot. And then after that, I said, okay, Lord, send me one. Well, it wasn't long till a friend of mine in the church who worked for an organization called CareStar, who goes into the homes of handicapped people to help them. They'll clean up the place for them, wash their dishes, get them some groceries, things of that sort. And so my friend said, I know you've been learning about ministry to people who are multiple personalities, which is what we called it back then. Today it's dissociative identity disorder, but then it was multiple personality disorder. And she says, I'm taking care of a lady. I think she has that. Would you be interested in ministering to her? I said, well, if she wants me to help her, would you have her call me and ask me? And sure enough, the lady called and asked me if I would come help her. So I went to her place and talked with her. And she's a very nice lady. And we agreed that we would meet again a week later. I went back a week later and was just talking with her when she suddenly got up out of her chair and walked very quickly into the bathroom and picked up a washcloth and started polishing the towel rack. It was a metal towel rack, and she was polishing the towel rack. And she said, Daddy says I have to polish the crosses for the ritual tonight. Well, what had happened was a 7-year-old dissociated part, an alternate personality, suddenly manifested, and she was in the midst of a memory of having to get ready to be in a ritual that night. Now, her father was a Baptist minister. He was also a Satanist, and he abused her horrendously, and he trafficked her out to many people who took her different places in the world where she suffered extreme abuse. And so that is how I was called into the ministry. It's probably going to be different for everyone, but I thought it would be helpful to hear how I was called.